Boom! Did you hear that? That's the sound of records shattering into a million tiny purple pieces. We all knew BTS was a global juggernaut, but when they decided to take a break from the group to conquer the world one by one, nobody, and I mean nobody, was ready for the absolute carnage they were about to unleash on the music charts. We're talking about massive physical sales, historical milestones, and fans literally fighting their Wi-Fi to secure a copy. It's 2025, the dust has finally settled, and the Hanteo numbers are in. Who reigned supreme in the solo battlefield? Let's dive into the chaos of the most successful solo debuts in history. Number 7. RM, the artful mastermind. Intellectual sales, the Namjooning effect. When we talk about Kim Namjoon, we aren't just talking about a rapper. We are talking about a philosopher with a microphone who somehow managed to turn high-concept art into a physical sales monster. RM kicked off the solo era with Indigo, and let's be real, we all expected something deep, but we didn't expect the Hanteo charts to catch fire like that. He's the guy who spends his weekends in museums looking at wind blowing through grass, yet when he drops an album, the sheer volume of Indigo and his follow-up Right Place, Wrong Person proved that fans are more than willing to buy into his complex, experimental world. The narrative around RM's solo career is one of quiet power. He didn't need flashy dance breaks or pop radio bait to move hundreds of thousands of copies in the first week. Instead, he gave us a diary of his 20s, a last archive that resonated so deeply that physical stores couldn't keep the beautifully designed wooden aesthetic packaging on the shelves. Imagine being so cool that you release an album with tracks like Wildflower and Yoon, and suddenly everyone wants to be a scholar of Korean art. The Hanteo numbers for RM were a testament to the Namjooning lifestyle. It wasn't just an album, it was a collector's item for the soul. Critics were losing their minds over the production quality, while fans were frantically refreshing their tracking pages because, let's face it, we all wanted a piece of RM's brain on our bookshelves. Even though he leaned into indie and alternative sounds that usually don't scream mass physical sales, the BTS leader's loyal following ensured he secured a comfortable spot in the all-time Hanteo solo rankings. It's funny because RM probably cares more about the humidity level in a gallery than his chart position, but the fans said, "No, Namjoon, take this million-seller energy and go buy another moon jar." His presence on this list is a victory for the art over everything crowd, proving that you can be deeply introspective and still make the cash registers go cha-ching in a way that would make corporate moguls weep with joy. The transition from Indigo to the gritty, psychedelic vibes of Right Place, Wrong Person showed a man who refused to be boxed in, and every time he pivoted, the fans followed with their wallets wide open, making him a permanent fixture in the Solo Hall of Fame. Number 6. J-Hope, the hopeful pioneer, street vibes, the Lollapalooza king. Now let's talk about the man who literally jumped out of a box to change the game. J-Hope, our sunshine, our street dance king, was the first one to take the plunge into the solo unknown with Jack in the Box, and boy did he make a statement. Initially, the Hanteo numbers were a bit of a roller coaster because the physical Hope edition didn't drop at the same time as the digital release. Classic Hive move, right? But when those physicals finally hit the stores, it was game over. Jungkook didn't come to play, he came to burn the house down. His sales weren't just fueled by catchy tunes, but by a gritty, dark aesthetic that nobody saw coming. We went from chicken noodle soup to more and arson, and the fans were absolutely here for the emo rock transition. Then came Hope on the Street Volume 1, which was basically a love letter to dance and old-school hip-hop. This album solidified his status as a physical sales powerhouse because it wasn't just music, it was a multimedia experience. You could feel the sweat from the dance floor in every track. J-Hope's Hanteo success is a story of grit and authenticity. He didn't follow the standard idol solo path. He went back to his roots in Gwangju, and the world rewarded him for it. Watching his sales climb was like watching a slow-motion explosion, steady, intense, and impossible to ignore. There's something so satisfying about seeing a guy who started as a street dancer become a certified million seller on Hanteo. It's the ultimate started from the bottom story, but with more expensive outfits and a smile that can be seen from space. Even while he was serving in the military, his Hope on the Street project kept the numbers ticking, proving that the J-Hope brand is recession-proof and enlistment-proof. He brought a sense of cool to the solo era that felt effortless, even though we know he probably spent 25 hours a day practicing his choreography. The fans' dedication to buying his albums wasn't just about the music, it was about supporting a man who gives 200% in every single frame of film. If you look at the Hanteo charts of 2025, J-Hope stands as a pillar of consistent growth, a dancer who moved the world, not just with his feet, but with the sheer weight of his album sales. Number 5. Jin, the Silver Voice, Worldwide Handsome, The Astronaut's Homecoming. Prepare your tissues and your wallets because when Kim Seok Jin enters the chat, things get emotional and very, very expensive. Jin's solo journey is the stuff of legends, starting with The Astronaut, a gift from Coldplay that had every army sobbing into their RJ plushies. Even though it was a single album, the Hanteo numbers were absolutely bonkers, proving that the worldwide handsome effect is a very real economic phenomenon. But the real earthquake happened when he returned from the military and dropped his full album, Happy. The anticipation was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Jin basically said, "I'm back, I'm still handsome, and here's a rock-inspired masterpiece to heal your hearts." And the fans responded by buying every single copy in existence. Watching Jin's sales figures on Hanteo is like watching a rocket launch, apt considering his debut title. He managed to bridge the gap between old-school ballad lovers and modern pop rock fans, creating a sales trajectory that was both stable and explosive. There's a certain irony in Jin being the happy guy, while fans are literally crying in the Target aisles because the albums are sold out. His solo success is deeply rooted in his personality. He's the guy who cracks dad jokes, but then hits a high note that makes your soul leave your body. This duality is what made his physical sales so high. People didn't just want the CD, they wanted the photo books, the stickers, the Jinness of it all. His Hanteo performance in 2025 showed that even after a long hiatus for national service, the demand for Jin was higher than ever. It was a triumphant "I'm home" moment that reflected in a massive surge of first-week sales. You could almost hear the collective sigh of relief from the music industry when they realized Jin hadn't lost an ounce of his selling power. He's the king of the emotional purchase. You see his face on a cover, you remember all the years of Eat Jin, and suddenly you've accidentally ordered 5 copies. It's a talent, really. Jin's position in the top list is a reminder that being genuinely lovable is the greatest marketing strategy in the world, backed by a vocal range that is as wide as his broad shoulders. Number 4. August D, The Date Sweeter King, Raw Rebellion, The Final Chapter. Hold on to your hats because Min Yoongi, aka August D, does not do things by halves. When D-Day dropped, it wasn't just an album release, it was a cultural reset for anyone who likes their music with a side of rebellion and a lot of honesty. As the final installment of the August D trilogy, the stakes were sky high, and the Hanteo charts felt the pressure. Yoongi is the kind of artist who will tell you his deepest traumas over a trap beat, and fans are so moved they decide to buy 10 albums each. The sales for D-Day were astronomical, breaking records for solo rappers and proving that the Suga brand is a titan of the industry. There's something so raw and unfiltered about his solo work that makes the physical album feel like a piece of history. You aren't just buying a disc, you're buying Yoongi's journey from a hungry trainee in Daegu to a global icon who can sell out arenas and Hanteo charts simultaneously. The D-Day tour also played a huge role in keeping those numbers up, as the synergy between the live performances and the physical sales created a feedback loop of pure hype. Let's be real, seeing him perform Hagem live made everyone want to go out and buy another copy just to make sure he knows we're listening. He's the savage king of the group, and his sales reflect that, direct, impactful, and unapologetic. The Hanteo data for August D is a wall of big numbers that screams, "Don't mess with Min Yoongi." He managed to capture a sense of urgency that few artists can replicate. Every time a Hanteo update came out during his release week, it was like watching a sports match where one team is just completely dominating. And the best part? He did it all while staying true to his underground roots, mixing traditional Korean instruments with heavy-hitting production. It's a comedy of sorts. The guy who wants to be a rock in his next life is currently one of the busiest and most successful soloists on the planet. His fans, the Yoongi Marry Me Brigade, clearly put their money where their mouth is, ensuring that August D remains one of the top-selling Hanteo soloists of all time. It's a legacy built on fire, honesty, and a lot of very fast rapping that we still can't quite keep up with. Number 3. Jimin the Filter King, record breaker, the muse of modern pop. If there was a prize for the most internet-breaking solo debut, it would go to Park Jimin. When Face was announced, the world held its breath, and when it finally dropped, Hanteo practically collapsed under the weight of the demand. Jimin became the first solo artist in Hanteo history to sell over 1 million copies on the very first day. Let that sink in. One day. That's the kind of power we're dealing with here. His title track, Like Crazy, wasn't just a song, it was a movement. Then came Muse, which only solidified his throne. Jimin has this ethereal, almost otherworldly quality that makes people want to own everything he touches. His albums are sleek, stylish, and deeply personal, reflecting his struggle with fame and identity during the pandemic. The narrative of Face was about looking in the mirror, but for the fans, it was about looking at the Hanteo charts and seeing Jimin at number 1. The sheer velocity of his sales was frightening to other labels. It was like a tidal wave of purple grace. Jimin's success is a mix of his insane charisma and his it-boy status that transcends music. He's a fashion icon, a contemporary dancer, and a vocalist with a tone that sounds like silk, and all of that translates into cold, hard physical sales. Watching his numbers grow in 2025 is a reminder that the Jimin effect is permanent. He doesn't just sell albums, he sells an aesthetic. Fans weren't just buying a CD, they were buying a piece of the Jimin brand, which is synonymous with luxury and perfection. There's also the comedy of his small hands being the ones that hold the biggest records. It's a poetic irony that ARMYs never tire of mentioning. Every time he drops something, the Hanteo servers probably need a pep talk and a cooling system upgrade. Jimin's journey from the blood, sweat, and tears center to a solo history maker is a testament to his hard work and the undeniable magnetism he possesses. He's the Prince of Pop who turned the Hanteo chart into his personal playground, and by 2025, his cumulative solo sales have placed him in a stratosphere that very few human beings will ever touch. Number 2. V, the Jazz Soul, Visual Emperor, the Yentan Power. Now, we enter the territory of the King of Vibe. Kim Taehyung, known to the world as V, took a completely different route with his solo album, Layover. While everyone else was going high energy or dark, V said, "Let's listen to some jazz and chill with my dog, Yentan." And surprisingly, or not, this laid-back approach resulted in some of the highest Hanteo numbers ever recorded for a soloist. These sales are a phenomenon because they represent the power of a dedicated, almost religious band face, combined with a genuine love for his unique baritone voice. Layover was a masterpiece of soul, R&B, and nostalgia, and the physical packaging, modeled after a shipping box, was so creative that people bought it just for the vibes. But let's be real, a huge chunk of those sales came from the fact that it's Taehyung. He's the guy who can breathe on a product and it sells out in 3 seconds. His Hanteo first-week sales were legendary, rivaling even the biggest group releases. It was a vivation. The detail in his photo books, featuring his natural boy-next-door, if your neighbor was a literal god look, made the physical album a must-have. He proved that you don't need a heavy beat to move millions of copies, you just need soul and a very cute Pomeranian. The Hanteo charts in 2025 show V as a titan who dominates through sheer individual star power. There's a funny side to it though. V's probably out there somewhere taking film photos of a wall while his album is breaking the internet. He's so detached from the numbers game, yet he's winning it by a landslide. His fans, especially in China and Japan, showed up with a level of purchasing power that was honestly terrifying. It's the Taehyung brand. It's sophisticated, it's expensive feeling, and it's undeniably successful. Every time he updates his Instagram, the sales probably spike again just because people were reminded he exists. His Hanteo first-week sales were legendary, rivaling even the biggest group releases. It was a vivation. The detail in his photo books, featuring his natural boy next door, if your neighbor was a literal god look, made the physical album a must-have. He proved that you don't need a heavy beat to move millions of copies, you just need soul and a very cute Pomeranian. The Hanteo charts in 2025 show V as a titan who dominates through sheer individual star power. There's a funny side to it though. V is probably out there somewhere taking film photos of a wall while his album is breaking the internet. He's so detached from the numbers game, yet he's winning it by a landslide. His fans, especially in China and Japan, showed up with a level of purchasing power that was honestly terrifying. It's the Taehyung brand. It's sophisticated, it's expensive feeling, and it's undeniably successful. Every time he updates his Instagram, the sales probably spike again just because people were reminded he exists. His Hanteo first-week sales were legendary, rivaling even the biggest group releases. It was a vivation. Number 1. Jungkook, the Golden Maknae, global pop prodigy, the Hanteo destroyer. And here we are at the summit. The one, the only, Jungkook. If the other members broke records, Jungkook deleted them from the history books entirely. His album Golden was the culmination of every Golden Maknae prophecy we've heard since 2013. This wasn't just a solo debut, it was a coronation. Jungkook went full global pop star, and the Hanteo numbers reflected a level of demand that was bordering on insanity. We're talking about over 2 million copies sold in the first week alone, numbers that some groups don't see in their entire careers. Jungkook took the main pop boy title and ran with it so fast he left everyone else in the dust. The album was a hit-making machine, with tracks like 7 and Standing Next to You providing the soundtrack to 2023 and 2024. But the physical sales were where the real story was. Fans were buying Golden like it contained the secret to eternal life. It was a frenzy. The Hanteo chart updates during his release week were basically just a countdown to him hitting another million. It's funny because Jungkook is the kind of guy who would accidentally delete his own Instagram with millions of followers, yet he's the most commercially powerful soloist on the planet. His success is a combination of his perfect idol image, his unbelievable vocal stability, and a marketing campaign that put him on every billboard from Seoul to New York. By 2025, his cumulative Hanteo sales have reached a peak that seems untouchable. He didn't just participate in the solo era, he conquered it. Every version of the album, every photo card, every limited edition was swallowed up by a global audience that couldn't get enough of the golden energy. It's a bit of a comedy. The youngest member, the one who used to be shy to sing in front of his hyungs, is now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the Hanteo charts. He turned his solo era into a world-dominating victory lap, proving that when you have the talent of Jungkook and the backing of ARMY, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the starting line. He is the definitive number 1, the best-selling BTS soloist of all time, and the man who turned the golden touch into a literal reality for the music industry. So, what did we learn from this absolute roller coaster of solo dominance? We learned that even when they're standing alone, these 7 guys are basically a 7-headed dragon of the music industry that refuses to let anyone else breathe on the charts. From RM's intellectual deep dives to Jungkook's global pop takeover, the solo era wasn't just a side quest, it was a full-blown expansion pack that redefined what it means to be a superstar in 2025. Hanteo has seen some crazy numbers over the decades, but the sheer speed and volume at which these albums disappeared from shelves will be studied by economists and confused parents for years to come. It's not just about the music, it's about that unbreakable bond that makes fans support every single dream, no matter how experimental or out there it gets. Whether you're a soul searcher like V or a performance beast like Jimin, there was a seat for everyone at the table of success. The BTS solo era of 2025 didn't just break the records, it built a whole new stadium and then sold it out in 5 seconds. As they eventually gear up to reunite, they aren't just coming back as a group, they're coming back as a league of legends, each with a trophy room overflowing with Hanteo certifications and the eternal gratitude of a very broke but very happy fandom. It's been a wild ride watching them grow from 7 boys with a dream to 7 icons who own the world individually. And, honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. Keep those light sticks charged, because if this was just the solo chapter, imagine what happens when the whole team is back on the field.